This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 723. Thank you for listening. Make sure that you're checking us out over at markinout.com, on Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and wherever else you are listening to your podcast. Give us a 5-star rating to go with that 5-star frog splash. Make sure that you check us out over on Facebook. Give us a like. You can go check us out on Instagram at MarkinOut11 and on Twitter and on TikTok at MarkinOut. You can follow me, Dave the Rave, on all social media platforms at DavidPTDPT. Follow Chris at Chris Sweendog and CM Sweeney 85. That is on Twitter and Instagram. And also follow Brandon at BTTG161. But most importantly, hey, it's the holiday season. You want to give something nice. Give a Markin Out t-shirt. ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkinOut. Buy one, buy two, maybe 5. Just buy it. But that being said, I am here with Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I am doing awesome as always. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. How was your week, Morning Dove?
That's a weird thing to ask, but I should say. I tried. I've been addicted. I've been trying to make stuffing again, but they don't sell the stuffing bread. Apparently, it's just Thanksgiving, so I have to research breads to use for stuffing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm on the research phase right now. Stage, not phase.
All right, you are a scientist.
I don't
As
know if I would say that, but how was your week?
My week was actually really, really good. It was really, really fast, and I am looking forward to the holiday season. It is upon us.
I thought you were going to say you were looking forward to Juan Soto on the Mets.
Yes, that is something to look forward to, of course. Yeah, I think that's incredible. Juan Soto, and the amount of money is insane.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they could opt out of his opt-out clause can be avoided by adding $5 million per year, I think it is, for his contract, bumping him up over $800 million for 15 years.
Is it not crazy that the Mets all of a sudden have Yankees money?
It is different. I'm not used to this.
They're buying their team.
I know. It's weird to be in that position, to have an owner that actually is spending money and has money to spend.
Yeah.
If they want to say that we buy a championship, I am okay with that. I just want to see a Mets World Series.
Yeah, if you get the championship, that's fine.
Yeah. It doesn't... The Yankees have a ton of money. It doesn't... Just because they had a ton of money, and they did buy their players, it doesn't take away from them having that Yankees dynasty. They still had an incredible dynasty full of history.
They have many more years on the Mets as well, so...
Yeah. So, you spoke about your week. I spoke about my week. Let's talk about the week in pro wrestling. Let's kick it off with some Monday Night Raw,
which opened up with Gunther, where he was immediately interrupted by the Judgment Day. And Finn Balor said that Saturday night's main event will be nothing like Survivor Series, because at Survivor Series he retained the championship, and at Saturday night's main event, he's going to lose the championship. Both because of him. Long story short, Gunther said that Balor's never going to be on his level. They went to get in the ring, and then Damian Priest showed up. They went to brawl with the Judgment Day, or he went to brawl with the Judgment Day. Damian Priest rolled Finn Balor into the ring. Gunther ends up taking Finn Balor out. Damian Priest joined in with that. And then Gunther took Damian Priest out. And he went to powerbomb Damian Priest through the commentary table, but Balor rocked him with the sling blade. And then he hit a coup de grace on Gunther. Priest brawled more with the Judgment Day, but they outnumbered him. And Balor, I think it was 3 times that he hit the coup de grace on Damian Priest, like he did to Gunther last week.
I love this intro.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that this intro was fire.
And
it really, after hearing the rumors about the potential of Finn Balor getting a big push in 2025, I think that this was great.
And then later on, Adam Pearce, pissed off, told Finn Balor that Damian Priest is now going to be in the match at Saturday Night's Main Event. And then he set up a tag team title rematch against the War Raiders next week with the other members of the Judgment Day band from ringside. I think it'll be safe to say that now we'll have new tag team champions. Can't have War Raiders lose twice.
No. I would be really disappointed if they had the War Raiders come back, brand new name, on a taped episode of Monday Night Raw, but brand new, bringing back their original name, being just mean mother truckers, and then lose again. I would not be a fan of that.
I don't think it'll happen, so.
I hope not.
After that, we saw the Final Testament and The Miz pick up the victory over the Wyatt Six, which started with a giant brawl. Uncle Howdy almost immediately hit Sister Abigail on Karrion Kross, but The Miz made the save for him. I thought it was very good and nice to see the Wyatts wrestle again. I still wish there was a Survivor Series match that took place, but I understand why there wasn't.
So explain it to me. Why wasn't there?
Just the time that they're taking to develop this feud.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because then you put everything... I feel like you would have not jump-started, but it would have happened too quickly, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But Scarlett got involved. Nikki Cross showed up to scare her, then attack her. Uncle Howdy went for another Sister Abigail, and Miz stopped it again. He ends up eating a mandible claw, and then Paul Ellering made his return and blasted Uncle Howdy in the face with what I can only assume was like baby powder or something.
Yeah, I think they said it was powder.
And then Karrion Kross put Uncle Howdy down with that the finals prayer.
No. What did you think about that finale? Like, are you okay with the Wyatts losing and everything like this?
Yeah, I mean, it was a cheap win, so.
No, it wasn't clean.
And then I like Miz later on. They showed off air. He was he tried to like be like, oh, peace out to Karrion Kross, and Kross was like, absolutely not. You're not out of this yet. We're still in this together. Yeah. And I like that Miz was like, and you know, you kind of got me with the baby powder or whatever it was. So I thought that was funny.
True. I did like how it was a good use of Paul Ellering too.
Yeah. And it was unexpected for me, at least.
Yeah. Next up, you had a sit down with CM Punk. Right off the bat, the big question was, what's the deal? What's the deal? What's that secret? What's that one favor that CM Punk has with Paul Heyman right now? And I liked his response. He was just like, you know what? I don't want to talk about that. It's between us. Let's not talk about it.
Yeah, so he moved on to Seth Rollins, and the history between him and Seth Rollins. And the main takeaway of that is that Seth Rollins always needed CM Punk, not the other way around. So obviously a match is going to be taking place between the two of them. Maybe the first Raw of Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, Seth Rollins spoke and said it was a masterclass. CM Punk is like this masterclass of spinning the truth. And CM Punk's been doing it his entire life. He addressed everything with CM Punk and said that the only reason why he's back is because he failed at everything else. He burned every bridge, and the money was right. He used to cheer CM Punk on, but he wanted to be better than CM Punk. And he got the one thing that CM Punk has never been able to do, which is main event WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sami Zayn showed up and said it was wrong of him to assume that it was Seth Rollins who attacked Jey Uso last week. And he apologized for that. But last week he sounded less like Seth and more like Drew McIntyre.
Mm-hmm.
And they came to an understanding. It sets up Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre at Saturday night's main event. And Sami went to leave, and then Drew McIntyre attacked him.
Just took him out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which is smart, leading right into the well, I shouldn't say pay-per-view, right into the Saturday night main event. And there's no way that Sami Zayn's winning this at all.
No.
Well, next up, you had Liv Morgan pick the victory over Dakota Kai. It was a good match, but
I wish it was longer.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it not being longer, but I wish it was longer.
Yeah.
You had PFC make their way out to watch the match. Dakota Kai ends up kicking Shayna Baszler. I like the roll-up attempt from Dakota Kai after Liv Morgan maybe went for an Oblivion. I'm not 100% sure if it was going to be one.
Mm-hmm.
But Sonya got up on the apron. She got kicked off. And then Dakota Kai missed her kick in the corner to Liv Morgan. And Liv hit that Oblivion to pick up the victory. And immediately following the match, PFC jumped Dakota Kai. And then Damage Control made the save. But Liv Morgan hits EO with Oblivion also. So she's standing tall, leading to Saturday night's main event.
Yeah. Everything's just leading to Saturday.
After that, you had Lyra Valkyria pick up the victory over Zelina Vega and Ivy Nile to advance in the United States Championship Tournament. I mean, the Intercontinental Championship Tournament. The fans, I thought, were very into this match, but I think they needed to do more with this match. And I think Zelina Vega was definitely the star of it, but I think Lyra Valkyria was the one that desperately needed the victory here.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like they could have done more with this match.
Yeah. I could definitely see more to be done with this match. And I feel like it made sense for Valkyria to pick up the victory for it.
Yeah.
I can't see Ivy Nile as a contender yet either.
Well, for me, the only two are Natalya and Dakota Kai.
True. Next up, we had the New Day.
Earlier, they saw Cody Rhodes backstage, and Cody was disappointed with them. And then they refused to answer Kathy Kelly's question about last week, and Xavier Woods took Stu's camera and then went to the Arena Ball with it. Huge heat for the New Day. Dominic level heat. And they were like, we didn't even do anything to Big E. We could have hit him with a chair. We could have hit him with a crutch. And then they ended up leaving because they couldn't talk. But with the John Cena mention, I wonder if that's going to lead to something.
I didn't think about that.
I don't know.
I did love that with New Day, the reaction that they're getting.
Yeah, it's
the crowd response.
That was unmatched. I don't know who else currently has that. Even Dominic's been getting cheered.
I mean, it's one of those things where we haven't heard New Day get heat in so long. I forgot they used to have that New Day sucks chant.
But I don't think they had heat like this. That was like 2000, I want to say maybe 15.
Right? Didn't they used to chant New Day sucks?
Yeah, when they were feuding in 2015, I think it was, with the Dudleys.
Yeah.
But not like that. I don't think it was like that.
No. I love the fact that they tried their hardest to do a promo, just like how you mentioned with Dom. Tried their hardest to cut a promo, and they said what they had to say, and they're like, nah, we're just leaving.
Yeah. Did you see the clip of them inside the actual arena?
No.
It's like deafening.
Really?
Well done.
That's awesome.
Main event saw Rhea Ripley pick up the victory over Raquel Rodriguez in an anything goes match. They wasted no time and started brawling on the ramp and in the crowd, and they finally got into the ring to start the match. The action just never stopped. They used chairs, kendo sticks, tables. Rhea Ripley went to hit the riptide onto a pile of chairs, and then Liv Morgan got involved. And Raquel was able to take over from that, and Raquel reversed, or did the Tejana Bomb get reversed from Rhea Ripley, I think? And Rhea Ripley went for a riptide. And Liv Morgan ended up jumping on her back. And Raquel rolled out. She went to go back to go get her. Liv Morgan hit an oblivion. So Io Sky gets involved to take Liv Morgan out. And Raquel sets up for another Tejana Bomb. Rhea Ripley gets out of it again and sent Raquel into the corner where a chair was set up. So she goes headfirst into a chair. She hits the riptide through a table just in time for Monday Night Raw to end, basically.
Yeah, I was actually starting to get nervous. I even texted you. I'm like, do you think they're going to make it?
And it ended with Io and Rhea Ripley, both hands on the championship, kind of a tug of war, if you will.
I wouldn't even say it was a tug of war.
No,
There was really no.
Yeah, it was definitely not a tug of war. It was
more like a grab and stare.
Yeah, they both held on to the title. It wasn't a tug of war.
Yeah,
We've seen tug of wars. I've absolutely hated tug of wars in the WWE over the title like that.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's Monday Night Raw, moving back in time to a WWE deadline. I didn't realize that at Halloween Havoc they dropped the fact that it's NXT. It's just WWE. It was WWE Halloween Havoc, WWE Deadline.
I didn't even notice that too with the previous one.
I didn't realize that because the hashtag was Halloween Havoc. This one I thought was NXT Deadline, and then I saw like Shawn Michaels tweet. I was like, wait a minute, they're all using WWE Deadline. Mm-hmm. And you go look on the poster, it's the WWE logo. It's not the NXT logo.
I think that's great because it kind of makes you feel like it's not the third. It's not like the odd child now.
I feel like it'll always, in some retrospect, be that.
Mm-hmm.
But it opened with Obafemi winning the Iron Survivor match. He was the replacement for Eddie Thorpe. Javon Evans, Ethan Page, Wes Lee, and Nathan Fraser were also in this match. And it opened with Javon Evans and Wes Lee. And Lee got the first fall right before Nathan Fraser was entering this. By using the ropes, he cheated to get that first fall. Ethan Page was out after that. Immediately eats a pin from Nathan Fraser. And he tried all he could do to stay out of that penalty box, which I thought was really funny. And then he was forced in by Nathan Fraser and Javon Evans. And when Ethan Page got out of that penalty box, he immediately pinned Nathan Fraser. So that whole setup there between losing that like instantly and then getting out and then pinning instantly, I thought was very well done.
I agree. I like the fact that all of them were like he was avoiding getting in there and how that all got set up. I thought that was a nice little collage of domino effects that was taking place right there.
And then Obafemi came out next and scored a fall pretty quickly on Javon Evans. And when Javon's time was up, Ethan Page was knocked out in front of the door. So he had to climb up to the top of the penalty box. He dove off onto Obafemi and Nathan Fraser. Pretty similar spot with what Tiffany Stratton did. I think it was last year. Or maybe 2 years ago at this point. I don't remember. Maybe it was last year.
And that I like. Before you talked about, I thought that was a cool spot too because like he was legit getting blocked from getting involved.
Yeah.
Like it was cool because you just had one after the other, and he just could not get out at all. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah, and then Javon hit the cutter on Wes Lee to gain a point. So Evans, Lee, Fraser all get on the same page to attack Obafemi. Obafemi takes the three of them out, and Ethan Page steals a fall on Obafemi.
That I was surprised over.
And instead of covering Javon Evans after that huge powerbomb from Obafemi, he chose to make fun of that And then Javon pinned Ethan Page, and Ethan had to get in the penalty box with Obafemi, and he again tried all his hardest to not get put into that box.
Yeah.
And then Obafemi ends up beating on Ethan Page in the penalty box,
which was just great.
And he hit a choke slam on Nathan Frazer and Wesley to pin both of them, I think it was.
Yes. Yeah, he pinned them both at the same time.
And Javon Evans then ran out of time to maybe get the win.
Yeah, he just ran right out of time. Obafemi, what a beast.
I mean, this whole match was very entertaining. They go by so quickly. Yeah, I think it's like such a good match that was brand new to WWE, or I guess in wrestling in general. But
I agree.
And when they first introduced it, the rules are still kind of confusing sometimes. Once you remember it, then you remember it. But it was, I don't know, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, these matches are a lot of fun.
After that, you had Lola Vice pick up the victory over Jada Parker in an NXT Underground match. I think this is what you would have expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
When they were outside the ring, Lola Vice went for that spinning back fist, but she ends up hitting the ring post instead. And Jada Parker worked on that bad hand throughout the match. She took Lola Vice's glove off. She put it on herself to throw punches with it. And then she tied Lola Vice's Taekwondo black belt around her wrist. Used that to wrap it around the ring post. But Jada Parker introduces a brick again. And when she went to use it, Lola Vice hit the back fist with her bad hand and locked a chokehold in to choke Jada Parker out.
I thought they did a really good job with this matchup. They kept it very entertaining for a match that's... I feel like the match itself is a slow-paced match because of it being like so technical. Like, I feel like it's a slow-paced match because this is a technical sort of a match because you have to be precise in how you're going to maneuver yourself in order to win and get a submission or get that knockout blow.
Right.
So for a slow-paced match, I thought that both of them did really, really good. Yeah, can't really say anything bad about this match.
And I think it's about time that 2K puts this mode and the Iron Survivor in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
It took them quite some time for War Games to make it. I still think they need to improve War Games, but I think we desperately need the Iron Survivor Challenge and an Underground match.
Yeah.
After that, we saw Fraxium pick up the victory to retain the Tag Team Championships over No Quarter Catch Crew. Nathan Frazer in that opening contest broke his nose, I think.
Yeah.
So he went in, battered face, bruised ribs. OTM showed up during this match. But Tavion Heights ended up doing an overhead belly-to-belly to Nathan Frazer over the ropes to knock OTM down. I thought that was dope. That gut-wrench dominator from Tavion was dope. I think he was definitely some form of MVP for their team at least. Because I don't want to take anything away from Fraxium here because, like, I have a very hard time not saying that they're the tag team of the year.
Mm-hmm.
There was many, many times we still think, oh, Fraxium is not okay. They're going to break up. They're going to break up. They're going to break up. They've proven themselves time after time.
It is very interesting because that's the thing. You're really expecting them to break up at some point, but
I mean,
they have not yet.
Axiom even accidentally drop-kicked Nathan Frazer.
Exactly. They keep on teasing it.
Yeah, but Miles Bourne tagged in Tavion Heights. They hit a double-team move only for Axiom to kick out, and he was able to roll Bourne up to get that victory.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a very well-done match.
I thought so, too. Next up, you had Trick Williams pick up the victory over Ridge Holland to retain the championship. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a nice, I don't have to say a coming out party for Ridge Holland because I feel like he has had that already.
Yeah. I think Ridge,
I feel like this was
Ridge did a good job of getting heat throughout the match.
Mm-hmm.
That spot with the knee in the ropes I thought was nasty. Trick's neck got tied up in the ropes at one point, like Mick Foley. I liked Booker T bringing up the fact that Mick Foley, I saw Mick Foley lose his ear like this.
In Germany.
I like that they
Yeah,
added
and specifically mentioned Germany.
Yeah. But Ridge Holland picked him up, hit his DDT. Trick Williams kicked out, eventually hit that trick shot to pick up the victory. Kind of surprised, but also not surprised.
So I'm not surprised.
I mean, did we both pick Ridge Holland last week? I feel like we did.
I think we did, but we're not surprised that Trick Williams did win.
No.
I think it's more of a surprise that I don't know what else to do with Ridge Holland.
Right.
Like, this would have been a prime time to cash in on him, even if he was only a champion for, you can say, a month, and then have him lose to Oba. Like, I feel like that would have been fine.
Well, I think it'll be bigger if Oba Femi is the one that dethrones Trick Williams.
I don't think dethroning Trick Williams is a huge feat, though.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to jump ahead to NXT. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
Main event saw Julia win the Iron Survivor Challenge. You had Sol Ruca, Zarya, Stephanie Vacour, and Ren Sinclair also in this match. I mean, Ren Sinclair definitely held her own against Julia here.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm saying MVPs of the match, it was Sol Ruca and Ren Sinclair.
Oh, Sol Ruca, that just insane. Sol Ruca hitting that
Sasuke special.
Yeah, that was something else.
I liked when Julia had Sol Ruca and Ren Sinclair locked in the STF at the same time, and Ren held onto Sol's hand so she couldn't tap out.
Yeah.
But basically, I mean, the Soul Snatcher on both of them I thought was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then they both rolled out so she couldn't get the pin. She rocked one with Ren Sinclair as soon as Ren Sinclair got back into the match, though. As soon as she got out of that penalty box. We saw Julia and Sol Ruca put Zarya through the commentary table. Stephanie Vacour was the last one in the match. And she and Julia went to square up, but Zarya took Stephanie Vacour out. That cannonball spot to Stephanie Vacour from Zarya with Julia locked it when she had her locked in the sleeper. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
We eventually saw Julia and Stephanie Vacour go to square up again, but Sol and Zarya ruined that. They eventually did fight one another, but it wasn't like, I feel like it could have been a bigger moment, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But there was such little time to go when Ren Sinclair got out of the penalty box, and she was able to reverse I forget what move Sol Ruca was going for, but she tied up the match, and I thought for sure they were going to do a sudden death spot there. But Julia got the pin at the last second to gain the advantage and gain the victory there.
Mm-hmm.
She had all the streamers. She had confetti. Oba Femi didn't have any of that. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that it was kind of weird that you had such a big blowout for Julia, but then Oba Femi was just like, that's it. He won.
Yeah.
Walk out. Yeah, I
didn't
agree.
understand that either.
Yeah, they could have done a little bit more of a presentation for the winner.
But you fast forward to NXT, and Julia kicked it off. Speaking about the Iron Survivor Challenge, Roxanne came out. She agrees with what I said, that Sol Ruca and Ren Sinclair were the MVPs of that match. Although she could just be throwing that in Julia's face and not really thinking it. But Julia said, she said that Julia's not on her level. And the result's going to be the same result as last time. And Julia challenged her to have the match right then and there. Cora Jade showed up, and she's like, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to make it to New Year's Evil. And then Stephanie Vacour was shown on the screen. She got taken out. Cora Jade alluded to her being the one to do so. So Julia attacked Roxanne Perez.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, she ate a kendo stick from Cora Jade, but Kalani Jordan made the save, and we'll put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Next up, you had Javon Evans pick up the victory over Wes Lee. I think this went how you'd expect it to as well.
I mean, to me, Javon Evans stood out a lot more than Wes Lee in the Iron Man match.
Given what happened leading up to this, I think it all made sense. Because they had brawled backstage, and I don't know, fans went nuts for this match. And they had a lot of exciting reversals. But Wes Lee, again, tried to cheat in this match. The referee saw that. Javon Evans kicked out of the cardiac kick. I wasn't expecting that. And he eventually hit that corkscrew move to pick up that victory.
Yeah. Next up, you had Hank and Tank pick up the victory over Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwa. Yeah.
It's been 5 months since we've seen them on TV in a standard tag team match, and I feel like they needed to give us a video package or something. Briggs and Inamura had a video package, which I thought was good to like introduce them as a tag team, but that also should have been before that tag team battle royal that we had the other week. And I wish that DuPont and Igwe won this match, but they're not built up. And DuPont shook hands afterwards. Igwe left. So I don't know what they're going to be doing there, but it'll be interesting to see if they continue with that build. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they don't split them up. I like them as a team, but we need substance there. We need something to them. It's kind of like I feel the same way. OTM is like just floating in the background. They don't. I don't think they haven't given us OTM properly.
I agree. I think that there's a lot to be done with these tag teams, and I think a lot is not being done with them too.
After that, we had Oba Femi come out, and he spoke about Deadline. He spoke about not officially meeting Trick Williams yet, and how they've both been dominant in their divisions. So that's, to me, why it would be a big deal for Oba Femi to take the title from Trick Williams. Because Trick Williams has very much so been very dominant at the top of this division. Especially when people didn't think he was going to be. So Trick Williams ends up showing up. Eddie Thorpe came out. And he said he's not going to let Oba Femi ignore what he did to him last week. And then Oba questioned if he saw him do it, and Eddie Thorpe was like, there's only one person in the locker room as powerful as that or whatever. And Oba Femi then turned his attention back to Trick Williams and said that the only reason why Trick Williams has the spot is because he lets him have that spot. And Eddie Thorpe was pissed that he was being treated the way he was, so he started speaking down to Trick Williams, and Trick said that he has no problem proving he's the best. And he told Ava to set up a match for next week. He clocks Eddie Thorpe. Later on, Fraxium ends up speaking backstage. Axiom spoke to Ava, got a match to prove himself against Oba Femi next week. And then Nathan Fraser's like, what the hell? I got us a tag team match next week. So now Axiom has to compete twice in one night, which I think is funny. It's exactly what happened at Deadline, kind of, but
except with the
Axiom. Also, I don't know why Ava wouldn't have informed whoever asked second. Why did she just let them both have matches?
True, but Fraser just did that, the double booking. I actually think they're going to do it.
Do what?
I think that they could do it. Next up,
you
had
do
Fatal
what?
I think that if they book them for 2 matches in one night, I think that they could win.
Well, no. No, there's no way. No. Axiom is not beating Oba Femi. I think Axiom will go into that tag team match beat down from Oba Femi, but they'll still pick up the victory afterwards. The tag match. They're facing Gallus, I believe.
They'll definitely beat Gallus. Oba Femi, it would have to be some sort of a
No, I think it'll be Oba Femi beating him down and then Axiom going in hurt like Nathan Fraser went in hurt.
True. Very, very true. But
After that, you had Fatal Influence pick up the victory over Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. Before this, Tatum Paxley mentioned having a new friend to even the odds. Fatal Influence started cheating during this. And Fallon Henley was the reason why that Tatum Paxley lost this match. They all jumped Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley afterwards. And Shotzi Blackheart made the save.
Huge pop from the crowd with Shotzi making her return to NXT.
She's been out for 10 months, so it's very nice to see Shotzi back. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of her.
Yeah, and I think that it's fitting. I don't remember. Was she on NXT when she got injured, or was it the main roster?
It was for the Women's Championship against Lyra.
Yeah, and I think it was like her ankle or her knee, right?
She tore her ACL.
ACL, yeah. Well, happy that she's back.
Yeah.
Next up, Tony D'Angelo picked up the victory over Ethan Page to retain his championship. Ethan Page is just dejected now.
Earlier, Tony D'Angelo offered him a title shot because he was feeling bad for Ethan Page. And Ethan Page said that it was beneath him. And then Tony offered it up to the whole locker room, and Ethan Page jumped at that opportunity. I thought this match had a lot of good back and forth. I popped for Ethan Page doing the twist of fate. But he went for Ego's Edge. Tony got out of it, hit that huge spine buster to pick up the victory. And I just think this is leading to Josh Alexander showing up to give Ethan Page what he needs in that next step of his career. Mm-hmm. And I'll mark the heck out for Josh Alexander showing up, and we get the North in NXT.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, Cora Jade and Roxanna Perez picked up the victory over Julia and Kalani Jordan.
Cora and Roxanne jumped Julia during her entrance. Kalani made her way out to even the odds and turned it around. I think Kalani and Julia worked well as a team. Julia seems to work very well with teammates. She dragged Roxanne out to do a double stomp move. Roxanne ends up hitting pop rocks on Kalani on the outside behind the referee's back. And Julia and Roxanne ended up brawling off to the back. Cora Jade takes advantage of that to get the victory for them. But then Stephanie Vicor showed up. She's pissed off for getting taken out earlier. And she attacked Cora Jade. She broke Cora Jade's stick over her knee and then chased her up through the crowd.
Ran her off.
And then the camera cuts to backstage into Ava's office and the feed cuts off. Like the other week. CW cut the feed. It turned out Eddie Thorpe signed the contract for next week for his match against Trick Williams, and he admitted to Ava that it was he who attacked himself, and he didn't have to go through the Iron Survivor Challenge to get what he wanted. I think that was a good twist.
I agree. It was a nice little change that I didn't expect coming.
Not at all. So that's NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. It opened up with Jimmy Uso. He came out with a crutch due to War Games. He broke his toe. And he said that he's proud of his family. They might fight, but he's still proud of them. He's proud of Roman. He's proud of Jay. He's proud of Solo even. And then he addressed what's next for him. And he said he doesn't really know, but it could be the Royal Rumble. It could be the US Championship. It could be the WWE Championship. And then out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre rocked him with a Claymore. And I was wondering where this hype promo was going with Jimmy, but Drew McIntyre is very clearly hunting the bloodline. Later on, Roman Reigns addressed Solo Sikoa, and he said that he had control of everything. And then he lost his championship, he lost his wise man, he lost the bloodline at WrestleMania, basically. And most importantly, he lost his Ula Fala. And he said that he didn't take the Ula Fala like Solo Sikoa did. He earned it. Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans, his father, his uncle, crowned him with that Ula Fala. They crowned him with the responsibility to lead the bloodline. And he challenged Solo Sikoa to a tribal combat match for the first episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. So I think that's interesting. And then even later on, Solo Sikoa defeated LA Knight via disqualification. Knight trashed the Ulafala in a promo beforehand, which I really don't get why they had him do that. I found that to be super weird. I don't know if it's because maybe Solo Sikoa has it, but having him do that, especially after Roman Reigns addressed, he literally just spoke about Afa and Sika giving that to him. So I thought that was weird, but Solo Sikoa before the match went to address Roman Reigns. LA Knight cut him off. Knight controlled most of this match. At one point, Solo caught him outside and dropped him on the commentary table. That led to him taking over for a bit. LA Knight eventually took over again, but he takes out the Bloodline. They eventually attack him. And you had Apollo Crews and Andrade run down to try to make the save. They got shut down. Maybe a 6-man tag is coming up. Who knows? Mia Yim picked up the victory over Tiffany Stratton to advance in the tournament for the United States Championship. She moves on to Saturday night's main event. Before the match, Nia Jax and Candice LeRae pressured Tiffany Stratton. And as far as the match goes, I feel like it could have been smoother. Tiffany Stratton was late to a few spots, and then Tiffany Stratton hit the prettiest moonsault ever while Mia Yim was rolling out of the way, but she still hit it. Mia Yim acted as if she didn't get hit and got up and hit Eat Defeat to pick up that win. I wish that went a little different. Backstage, Bianca Belair spoke to Nick Aldis, and Nick Aldis said that the investigation is still ongoing with Jade Cargill and who took her out, but it leaves them in a position where he has to have Bianca Belair relinquish the tag team championships. Naomi was right there with Bianca Belair and suggested stepping up. She offered her spot or her help or whatever to be her partner. And Nick Aldis said that he'll ask the higher ups, but if they do it, they need to be ready to defend the titles as soon as next week. And we found out via Candice LeRae, after she made fun of Tiffany Stratton for not getting the match done for the U.S. Championship tournament, that Candice LeRae and Nia Jax will be taking on Bianca Belair and Naomi for those tag team titles. You had DIY cut a promo. They said that they were screwed out of their titles with the Bloodline. They were screwed out of their titles with Motor City Machine Gun, basically. And now they're the best tag team in the world. You had Motor City Machine Guns have a similar promo later on. And they spoke about what Johnny Gargano did last week and how it's not the same Johnny Gargano. It's not the same Johnny that he broke into the wrestling business. And he said that next week, Johnny Gargano is going to find out why he's the teacher and Johnny's the student. You had Braun Strowman pick up the victory over Carmelo Hayes. I feel like this keeps happening where you expect a big surprise. They build it up and then it's just Braun Strowman. Which, like, no offense to Braun Strowman. That's just not a huge surprise mystery opponent. He's new to SmackDown due to the transfer window. Very quick match. Melo got a few moves in, but they weren't effective. Backstage, you had Pretty Deadly approach Braun Strowman and asked him to be in they asked him to be in their musical, to be their monster. He quickly pretty much shut that down. Byron Saxton went to interview him, and A-Town Down Under interrupted that and asked him to be on the Grayson Waller Effect next week, so it sets up Grayson Waller Effect next week. Then in the main event, you had Chelsea Green pick up the victory over Bayley to advance in that tournament for the United States Championship. This was the match that I was really torn on. I knew I didn't want Tiffany Stratton winning earlier because she had the Money in the Bank briefcase. But it's a tough call. It's between Mia Yim, Bayley, and Chelsea Green as the first U.S. champion. It was a very tough call for me. So, and I'm happy either way with any of the three of them. But Chelsea gets that victory. Piper Niven got involved. I would have liked more from this match. But the fact that commentary, I understand 100% that it was like a sponsored gimmick. Commentary mentioned Mufasa, the movie coming out, too many times, I think, during this segment. And it took me out of the match. But we saw Chelsea reverse the Bayley to belly. She hit the Rough Rider. Piper Niven ended up saving Chelsea from an elbow drop. And Bayley dove to the outside of the ring and elbow dropped Piper. And then Chelsea Green tried to take the count out victory there. Bayley made it back into the ring. She got hit with a knee, and then she ate and on Pretty Her to have Chelsea Green pick up that victory. So having Chelsea Green or Mia Yim as the first U.S. champion, I'm 100% happy with, and I'm still very torn on who I want to see win that match. To close SmackDown, you had Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens' final words with Michael Cole, but when Michael Cole introduced Kevin Owens, he didn't show up. And when Michael Cole asked Cody Rhodes about Triple H's gift to him for Saturday night's main event, one night only, which everyone thinks is going to be the Winged Eagle Championship, I think that's very much so what it will be. Kevin Owens interrupted in his car, and he told Michael Cole to ask Cody why he's okay with using his friends to help him finish his story, but then he's also okay with teaming with Roman Reigns. And he told Cody to be honest, and it's because he's as bad as a friend as he is a son and brother. And he was more entertaining as Stardust. Kevin Owens had a custom Stardust shirt. I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty funny. And then Cody Rhodes left the ring to go seek out Kevin Owens. Kevin attacked him from behind. The fight went back and forth in the... It went back into the Arena Bowl and then eventually into the ring. And it was broken up. Kevin Owens ends up clocking Cody Rhodes right in the head with the championship when Cody was being restrained. So that's how they end SmackDown. I'll do predictions for Saturday night's main event taking place at the Nassau Coliseum for the United States Women's Championship. I'm really torn. I'm going to say Chelsea Green. I'm very, very torn on that, but I'm going to say Chelsea. Singles match, Sami Zayn taking on Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre has to win that. He's going to take out the Bloodline maybe all by himself. Who knows? The OG Bloodline, I should say. Women's Championship on the line. Liv Morgan defending the title against Io Sky. Man. I'm torn on a bunch of these matches. I'm very torn on a bunch of these matches. I'm going to say Liv Morgan retains. For the World Heavyweight Championship, you have Gunther defending the title against Finn Balor and Damian Priest. It has to be Gunther who picks up that victory. And then for the Undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes defending the title against Kevin Owens. I am so ready to say Kevin Owens wins that championship. If that is the Winged Eagle Championship, Cody Rhodes has gone on the record numerous amount of times saying that when he wins the WWE Championship, if he wins the WWE Championship, he wants that title. He puts so much time and effort into getting that title, even if it's for one night only, and then he would lose it. I think that would be fantastic. So maybe it's Cody. Maybe it's Kevin. I'm going to say Kevin Owens. I could be completely wrong. So those are my predictions for Saturday night's main event. Going to take a quick little break right now, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
This is Shotzi Blackheart, and you're listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out, episode 723. Going back to AW Rampage from last week, it kicked off with Okada picking up the victory over Mark Briscoe to gain points. I thought this was a pretty good match, and they did a good job at making it look like Mark Briscoe could win this. But in the end, you had Okada reverse the J Driller and hit the Rainmaker to pick up that victory and score points. You had Chris Jericho mention Matt Cardona interrupting him on Ring of Honor, And then Matt Cardona showed up and he said he's going to prove himself right and beat Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor Championship at Final Battle. Chris Jericho said after everything he's accomplished, he's still just Zack. And then he slapped him. It looked quite weak and it led to them fighting. Brian Keith made the save and helped Chris Jericho take Matt Cardona out. On Dynamite, Matt was interviewed and said that he's always ready. He challenged Brian Keith to a match for either Collision or Rampage. I'll talk about that next week. And then you had Chris Jericho being the what does he call himself? I don't know if he calls himself the King of New York or something. Talking about how he took the Staten Island ferry to Washington Heights or from Washington Heights to the Meatpacking District. That just doesn't work like that, I don't believe. So I think that's funny. It adds to his character of being from New York, even though we all know he very much so grew up in Canada, even though he might have been born here. Daniel Garcia picked up the victory over Black Taurus to gain points. Taurus controlled a huge chunk of this match and lost to a jackknife pin, which just adds to reasons why you shouldn't care about Black Taurus. Very unfortunate. And then on Collision, he beat Aaron Solo. Just like the other week, he loses the match that actually matters and then has an absolutely meaningless match where he picks up the victory. That doesn't keep him strong to me. That's a we're going to try to make him look strong, but you're facing guys who don't win, who don't even wrestle. It's ridiculous. You had the Vendetta pick up the victory over Ella Elizabeth and Freya States. This was a quick match, rightfully so, but Taya Valkyrie and Deonna Purrazzo should be well beyond this. So I feel like it needed explanation as to why they were facing two enhancement talent there. That just doesn't sit with me for storyline, for anything. You had Ricochet in the main event pick up the victory over Commander to gain points in that Continental Classic. Some of this was too choreographed looking for me. And I don't mind sequences like the ones that they were doing, but too much of it just doesn't feel real enough to me. I liked when Ricochet caught that springboard DDT, and then he turned it into the Northern Lights suplex and the Brainbuster combo. I was surprised that the match ended when it did, but I'm glad that it wasn't longer. I wouldn't have minded if it went longer. And overall for this episode, with the exception of the women's match and the booking of Black Taurus, I thought this was a pretty good episode. On to Collision, it kicked off with Darby Allin picking up the victory over Commander to gain points. The suicide dive spot, I feel like, was probably the only thing that needs to be mentioned from this match. Darby Allin's absolutely insane. Commander, much like Black Taurus, controlled a big chunk of this match. And it ends with a roll-up. It's a very similar situation there. I think that's goofy. And then on Dynamite, Darby Allin was interviewed and ended up punching himself till he bled in the mouth. I don't get it. I truly don't get it. You had Don Callis and Takeshita interviewed. Renee asked them what's next for Takeshita, and Powerhouse Hobbs interrupted, and Don Callis tried to buddy up to him, but Powerhouse Hobbs challenged Takeshita for the championship. Don Callis was like, oh, you definitely deserve a shot. But they have to go all over the world. Scheduling conflicts, I guess, right now. And then Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs, grabbed Don Callis and told him, you better get back to me, basically. You had Willow Nightingale pick up the victory over Serena Deeb to qualify for that Women's Cup. This was a good match. I feel like Willow controlled most of it. They did that angle a few weeks ago with Serena Deeb and Britt Baker. And it just got dropped. Get Britt Baker repeating multiple times, nobody cares, nobody cares. Serena Deeb on this episode of Collision came out wearing a shirt that said, I care, or something like that. I don't know what they're going to be doing with this storyline, but it seems like they're not doing anything. But then again, I don't know, because she came out wearing the shirt. Where's Britt Baker been? She's disappeared. And then obviously there was no doubt in my mind that Willow was walking out of this match the winner. You had the Death Riders. Jon Moxley said that there's nobody that wants to be AEW champion. They say that they do, but they're not ready to be champion. And I think I saw a lot of people saying this promo sucked or whatever. I think Jon Moxley did a good job at building up the championship in this promo. He touched on Jay White. He touched on Hangman, Orange Cassidy. And then Orange Cassidy came out and said that he can live without ever being AEW champion, but he can't live with Jon Moxley being the AEW champion. And he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that Moxley's no longer champion. And then Orange Cassidy squared up with them. The Death Riders, Marina Shafir clocked him with the briefcase, and then they kidnapped him. And they cut to backstage. FTR's cutting a promo for Fight for the Fallen. And then they saw a commotion going on. Something happening to Orange Cassidy. And they went to funnel cleaning supplies into his mouth. And Cash ends up using a bat or a stick or something to smack it out of Jon Moxley's hand. And then that leads to them, I guess, challenging them on Dynamite. I don't know why they would have a problem, vice versa. You had Kyle Fletcher pick up the victory over Okada to gain points in that Continental Classic. Majority of this match was boring to me. A lot of this was boring to me. Kyle Fletcher kicked Okada below the belt. He hit the Brainbuster, picked up the victory. So Kyle Fletcher cheats 2 times in a row for this Continental Classic. You had Top Flight backstage arguing with each other. Layla Gray yelled at Lio Rush and Axel Andretti about what happened in that Battle Royal the other week. And I think it sets up a match between Axel Andretti, Lio Rush, and then Darius and Dante Martin. But I don't understand splitting them up. I truly don't. They just look so stupid. They were a faction, even though they weren't getting anything done as a faction. What are you going to accomplish with 2 less people on your side? That makes no sense. You had Mina Shirakawa pick up the victory over Emi Sakura. Emi has 0 TV wins. She's almost never on television. It's been a few months since we've seen her on television. Why should anybody care about this match? Emi controlled a lot of this and then lost after a comedy spot. I don't get it. This is not a meaningful match. It does nothing for nobody in this situation. It doesn't ready Mina Shirakawa for Mariah May for a championship match on Dynamite. It's goofy. In the main event, you had Mark Briscoe pick up the victory over Daniel Garcia to gain points in that Continental Classic. I liked that this was friendly competition between them, but also not 100% friendly competition, if that makes sense. And I could have done without the outside fighting, but I'm glad that Mark Briscoe got the victory here and actually came off as a threat. He broke out the cutthroat driver to pick up the victory, and I was happy with this main event. Over to AEW Dynamite, you had Jon Moxley and Pac pick up the victory over Orange Cassidy and Jay White via disqualification. They started with a brawl. And I feel like when something like that happens, when you're brawling to a certain extent before a bell rings to start the match, I would just prefer for them to call the match off. The referee had almost no control during it. Even during the match, he had almost no control. And when the match began, they fought outside the ring. And I just hate that. We did see a more serious side of Orange Cassidy, which I liked. The Patriarchy watched during the match, and you had Hangman interrupt to beat up Jon Moxley, and then Orange Cassidy started fighting with him. Jay White got involved. The Death Riders walked out on top, though. And then afterwards, and I also thought that the Patriarchy were going to be interrupting this match, with Christian sending them out during that. What was the point of sending them out? Just so we saw that he was alone? I guess so, but I don't think that was necessary. You could have just had Christian alone sitting there watching it. I mean, I might as well cut to it now. Hook attacked Christian. Big whoop. he tried to dangle him, dangle him off of the suite, and then the patriarchy showed up and Hook got away. But Jon Moxley made a fatal 4-way for World's End. Christian, before all that stuff that happened with Hook, he spoke and basically said that he has a problem with everybody in the match. But in the end, I have the money in the bank, or whatever they call it, the contract. I could cash in, and he threatened Jon Moxley, basically. You had Will Ospreay pick up the victory over Claudio to gain points in the Continental Classic. Started out super hot. Quickly, boom, goes to the outside. Lose interest. Claudio, I did like Claudio using the steel steps to wrap Will Ospreay and stomping his arm. Like, those steel steps are always, like, mind-boggling to me in AEW because they don't look like normal steel steps. There's, like, beams under them. But it's a creative spot. I just don't need that in the Continental Classic. I like the stuff that they do in the ring. And then Will Ospreay reversed the neutralizer with a jackknife pin to win. I feel like that's rinse and repeat. They do the same thing in this tournament. Claudio then attacked Will Ospreay after the match. He grabbed a chair, but Darby Allin came out and Claudio left. Adam Cole picked up the victory over Kyle O'Reilly to win the opportunity to face MJF for the Dynamite Diamond Ring at World's End. You saw the Kingdom speak to Kyle O'Reilly beforehand, and Matt Taven was like, we shouldn't be fighting one another. This match shouldn't be happening. We look like idiots being played by MJF. And Kyle O'Reilly, still maybe rightfully so, pissed off about Roderick Strong being taken out. But we saw MJF pull up, so you had to know he'd be a factor somehow in this match. But they do look like idiots fighting. Roddy was in that same boat. Get on a united page and go after MJF. He's one person. They're 5 people. If I'm counting correctly, 5-on-1 should not be like. There's no way MJF can outsmart 5 people like that. That makes no sense. With the way this match was wrestled, I think Kyle O'Reilly should have probably won it. But MJF showed up when the referee was checking on Kyle, and he went to attack Adam Cole, and Adam Cole took him down, and then reversed a move into a pin. Very much so like Will Ospreay did. I'd like for more matches like this one, because I very much so enjoyed it. But take out the MJF part, take out the ending part. I thought this was a good match. Ricochet picked up the victory over Brody King to gain points in the Continental Classic. They went outside multiple times for no reason. It's a crutch. It's not needed. I think the best part of this match, Ricochet hit a shooting star press on Brody, and he immediately started choking Ricochet. I thought that was a cool spot. And then people started booing Ricochet after he won. You have to put Ricochet with the Hurt Business, I feel like. And it was also kind of surprising that the Hurt Business wasn't on AEW this week. On Dynamite, I should say. You had Mariah May pick up the victory over Mina Shirakawa in the main event to retain the championship. I don't know if this was planned as the main event going into this week. But WWE had the women main event deadline. They had women main event Monday Night Raw. They had women main event NXT. And I think it's annoying that AEW doesn't book more meaningful matches with the women. I think their division deserves so much better than what they're given right now. As far as this match goes, the segment, Thunder Rosa was ringside yelling. That stems from something I think that happened on Collision. But I enjoyed this match. Outside of the fighting on the outside, which I let slide because they're main eventing, and I thought they were killing it. Fans were fully behind Mina Shirakawa here. Mariah May kicked out of the Mina driver and then hit Storm Zero to end the match. But I thought this was a fine match, and I feel like there's no reason why AEW can't put on matches like this every single week and have storyline in it, have reasons for these matches, and not have them go 3 minutes, 5 minutes or something, and there's no meaning behind it. Like Mina versus Emmy. There's no meaning behind that. There's no reason to have that. It doesn't build up Mina Shirakawa. You can have multiple women matches as well. I don't know what's stopping Tony Khan and AEW from booking that. You'll have sometimes on Collision, you'll have multiple women's matches, but they're not meaningful. Like one would have storyline, one wouldn't. And when you have fans reacting the way that they're reacting to Mina Shirakawa versus Mariah May, a match that has a lot of storyline put into it, how do you not book more matches like this in your division on the same night? And then after the match, you had Toni Storm return with her classic look. I think this was ruined by Thunder Rosa. She was holding up signs throughout that whole match and immediately had a WTF sign as if she's Wile E. Coyote. I'm very happy that Toni Storm dropped the timeless gimmick because I really couldn't take it anymore. But that return, I did not need Thunder Rosa there. Not with their sign. She could have reacted facially or something to have a WTF sign ready to go. I thought that was so goofy. I hated that. I especially for a return that was so anticipated. I hated that. But that is AEW Dynamite. Hey, Brandon. Got any shout-outs?
Hello there, this is Randy Newman, and you're listening to Brandon Shoutouts, because you got some shoutouts from Brandon. Now, when do I get paid?
The first shout-out goes to Somebody Somewhere. The series finale was this past week, and I really wish the show wasn't done. But it's on HBO, it's on Max. It's based off of Bridget Everett's real life. She's the star of the show. And it follows her character who returns to her hometown in Kansas and has to navigate the death of her sister. It's a comedy drama, but it's pretty even with each genre. I really don't understand how this show wasn't ever nominated for an Emmy, because I think the cast and the writers did such a great job with the series. So I hope people check it out on HBO. Out of My Mind gets the next shout out. It's a new movie out on Disney Plus about a girl in the 6th grade who is a nonverbal wheelchair user who has cerebral palsy. Based on a novel by the same name. Her internal narrations, her thoughts are narrated by Jennifer Aniston because it's her favorite show is Friends. So it's like they got Jennifer Aniston to do it.
That's funny.
Judith Light is great in it as the neighbor. She's an advocate for her as well. And I like the message behind the movie, and it shows that a person's disability shouldn't hold back their independence. And the girl, she's taken out of a special ed classroom that she's been in for years, placed into a normal, regular 6th grade class. And from there, she's able to learn about making friends, achieving success despite being nonverbal. And she then goes through the ups and downs of, I guess, technically kind of what every teenage girl goes through, or whatever teenager. But I thought it was a very good movie that, like I said, it's on Disney Plus, so check that out. The last shout out goes to the Eras Tour. It finally ended, which means I officially missed my first headlining Taylor Swift show, which sucks. But the tour was announced November 2022. Ticketmaster completely screwed up with everything. And I hope that it's totally different and easier to get tickets the next time there's a tour. If there is, I assume there will be. But the tour officially started March 2023. It broke so many records, included being the highest grossing tour in history of rock and roll tours. Not rock and roll, just music, I should say. She broke venue records, like having the biggest 3-day attendance at MetLife Stadium. Big thanks to people streaming it on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, etc. because I was able to watch every surprise song she had on the tour. I was able to watch full shows if I had wanted to. I thought the numbers from the opening night that people were watching on TikTok were insane. But if you combined all the streams that I happened to see on the very last night of the tour, there were well over 1 million people watching the final night of the Eras Tour. And I don't know if anyone will ever touch what Taylor Swift was able to accomplish with this tour. But, I mean, it was truly the greatest concert that I didn't actually get to see.
Yeah, it is. It is quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, so hopefully it's much better next time. So those are my shout outs. Now it's time for
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. WWE Vault again?
I agree, 100%.
Well, for one of them at least, they uploaded Kurt Angle's one of his earlier matches at the Funkin' Dojo Showcase in 1998. He's facing Christian. This was all before Christian's debut, too. Dory Funk is managing Kurt Angle. Jim Cornette's managing Christian. That was crazy to see. And then the WWE Vault's like, we're not done. They uploaded Abyss versus Eddie Colon from WWC in 2004. Which, if you're not familiar with the name Eddie Colon, it's Primo or Diego in WWE. Carlito's brother.
So weird to see Abyss there.
If WWE has that under their, like, tree or whatever, why are we not getting Abyss figures? Why are we not getting... I don't know. I don't even know if that would be, like, okay. I have no idea. They own the footage. Maybe they don't own the character there. I don't know. I would like Abyss in the video games. I would like to see Abyss figures. Everything.
Yeah,
Abyss
bring
in
in
the Royal
Abyss.
Rumble. That'd be
Royal
awesome.
Rumble. Abyss. Make his debut.
Do you have any other mark out moments?
No, take it home.
That was episode 723. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can follow us on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161, Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney85, David PTDPT, Facebook.com/MarkinOut, YouTube and Instagram MarkinOut11, ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkinOut. Follow us on TikTok at Markin Out. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, MarkinOut.com. And we wish you the best of luck.
Look in your future
In your future
endeavors.
Have a fantastic week.